feel like,
Oh shoot,
yeah,
I
they showed some
forgot.
things.
Whoopsie, I forgot that.
Yeah, it's not really that.
This is a Tricky Bait production.
Yo.
Whoa, there we go. Adjust a few things. Guys, you're getting a live look at the adjustment. Ooh, there we go. Hello, hello. Is my audio coming in fine? Hello, everybody out there is watching. What is up? Welcome.
Hello. What's up?
Welcome to the... that's right. You are hearing another voice on the screen besides me, and that is
Oh.
my good car. I got to get ready for my imaginary friend over here.
Oh yes, this is the classic moment every 2 weeks. Animated me appears.
And that is the
Here
sound
it comes.
of Connor, the other
Yes,
co-host
sir.
in this podcast, the Connor and Chris podcast. So thank you guys
Yep. One
for
day we'll come
tuning
up with a
in.
better name for sure. Totally.
We'll keep saying that, and it'll be like a year later, and it's like, man, we gotta like have a contest for a better name.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh hey, what's up, Geek Culture? How we doing? How we doing?
Hey, Geek
What's going
Culture,
on?
I'm back. What's going
Not
on? What
much.
is going
Just
on there, sir?
just got done doing some midterm projects, so I'm on spring break now. It's
You're on
gonna be
spring break,
nice.
like
I am now. Yep.
so
This
so
coming week. Yep.
so your spring break somehow lined up with like the Corona scare.
Well, I mean, I feel like everything's lining up with the Corona scare. I'm kind of worried about Rockville right now.
Well,
Like, is it
that
gonna
yeah.
happen?
Ooh.
So
Yeah, they'll just spray the crowd with like Lysol or something.
yeah, it's fine. Is it like
It'll be
bad that I'm just like,
Rockville is sponsored by Lysol.
yeah? Is it like bad that I'm like not like worried about it at all? Like I have like no concern about about it. I mean, I'm like washing my hands more a little
Yeah.
bit, but like I'm just not that. I'm not like shook. Like I'm not very intimidated by it. I don't know.
I am starting to see the slight hysteria of it because it reminds me of how we go through hurricane season, and like, oh, when they say a storm's approaching, what happens?
Hmm.
Everyone goes out and starts buying water. Then you start seeing
Right.
those shelves empty. It's like that, but it's happening with all like the Lysol products, the wipes. They're all disappearing from stores like quickly.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, and some of the stores are actually starting to limited how much water you can actually buy too. So
Mm,
it's almost starting to get into that crazy phase. I forget there's a
for
glitch. There
sure.
we go.
Well, I mean, people are freaking out, but
Yeah.
I do feel like the media has kind of like,
Oh yeah. They
you know,
push.
because it's the thing that is like the mortality rate is pretty similar to the flu,
Yeah.
but it's just the fact that this is new is why it's so scary. Um, and not to mention also, the people who are mostly affected by this are people who are like older or like really young and just don't have like a very good immune system. So people our age are actually probably okay.
Yeah. I mean, because people our age are a little more immune and a little more
Yeah.
healthy wise. Like we can kind of fight off something
Hmm.
like a flu.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. This corona thing is scary. So many people, I realized, is the
Yeah.
epidemic.
I mean, look, if you just like wash your hands and, you know, wash your hands.
See,
Dude, when we were at,
I would be really, really freaking out and worried if this was like September right now or like late August or mid August, and I'd be like,
yeah,
Horror
dude,
Nights is going to be. That was my first thought about when all
me
this stuff
too.
came up because I realized how much stuff do we touch in the house? We touch those curtains, and everybody touches those curtains to go into the
Yeah.
next room, and that's like what thousands of people touching the curtain. Oh, they're gonna
Well,
have to
that's
have
why,
like sanitary like things at the end when you walk out to like
oh yeah,
wipe your hands.
everyone just eat their immune system will improve. I have an iron gut. I'm gonna be honest, that's a
Just
great
eat
plan.
dirt.
But no, like I think, if this coronavirus is still like such a problem in September, it would definitely be smart to bring hand sanitizer and like sanitize after you do all the houses or
Yeah,
after you touch anything. Like,
yeah,
it's just like that. I mean, that's what we did. when I was at Disney a couple days ago, we just every time we did something, we just hand sanitized. So
Hey,
that's kind of the
hands were the cleanest they've ever been in a theme
right,
park.
which is a pretty convenient segue, isn't it?
Oh, with the segue here.
Yeah,
I'm
look at that,
guessing since you said
flawless.
Disney, and good
Hmm.
old Disney has a mascot. Everybody knows the Disney mascot. Well, I mean, I guess you could say Bob Iger. He's a Disney mascot, right? I
Well,
mean,
it's Shape Pack now. Shape Pack is is the mascot
Shape.
now. Hmm.
Yeah, he's a Disney icon as well as just countless of others when you go to the park. Obviously, the princesses I think are icons as well. Frozen is a humongous icon, but I am talking about the one, the only.
We're here for a Disney Channel special sneak peek of the next big attraction at Disney's Hollywood Studios, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
That is right. We are talking about the good old Mickey. Good old Mickey has debuted a new ride that just opened up. This week, right? It just premiered, just opened up.
Yeah, like literally like 2 days ago. Yeah,
Wow,
Wednesday.
how hot on the presses we are with this one.
Oh yes, timeliness. One of the principles of journalism.
Geek culture loves your segue.
Yes.
So, Connor, you had the opportunity to experience. I don't quite know how to describe this thing. I mean, it is an attraction, I guess.
It is that.
Yeah, it is an attraction. It replaced the great, what's it? The great
Movie
Hollywood
ride.
movie ride?
Right.
Yes.
Great movie ride. Right.
And I haven't watched anything as far as the attraction, the POVs or anything. Let me ask you this right off the cut. Is it similar to Great Movie Ride to where you're like, oh, they just sort of updated this? Or did it feel like, oh, this is like they really put some money and thought into like rebranding this building, from its previous attraction?
No, to me, it's just very, very different. Very different.
Oh,
Like
okay. In a good way?
it. Yeah, yeah. It's fun. Like, well, are you asking me about like my thoughts or just like in
Well, I
terms
was
of?
saying like how we've had some rides have like replaced other rides to where you can tell like, oh, this is just similar, but this one
Uh-huh.
feels I guess because of the whole train thing and the slow movingness of the Great Movie Ride. I was thinking that, hey, this is just going to be the same thing but more colorful and Mickey slapped everywhere, but it's an actual like full blown like attraction, like a ride, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's very much like its own thing. It kind of I would say it kind of stands alone
Mm-hmm.
right now in terms of just the fact that there's nothing quite like it. It kind of reminds me of some of the like classic Fantasyland dark rides
Oh,
with like
I like
in terms
that.
of like the color palettes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just obviously a much more updated version with updated tech and like projection mapping and all
Yeah,
that.
which if you don't know, this ride uses, I believe, I don't think any other attraction has done that, right? To use this much projection
Not this
mapping like
much,
this.
yeah, yeah, not this much.
There are physical sets blended in, right? Or
Yeah,
physical items and the
there
obviously
are,
the
yeah.
train and some other stuff.
There's like a couple animatronics. Um, there's one scene in particular that's pretty cool. Like you're kind of in this room and it's your surroundings are one thing. I'm not gonna like spoil it, but
Mm-hmm.
you're in like a setting and you kind of rotate and look at a screen for a minute and you rotate back out and you're in the same room as before, but it's like a different setting. They just changed the projection mapping and it's like an entirely different room, but like you didn't
What?
see the transition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, does that make sense? So it's fun. I think kids are gonna really like it because it's just really bright colors,
Mm-hmm.
which aesthetically very pleasing, I would say, which
for a
was
ride, that's pretty surprisingly, because most rides they try to do so much of the darkness to hide obviously
cool. Yeah,
a good portion of the like technology and stuff, because it immerses you a little bit more if it's darker. So it's very obviously from the sign, which is what I'm showing. The sign it's big, it's bright, it's beautiful, right? So it pulls you in.
right. And the ride definitely reflects that. I will say the song they use in the ride is very catchy. It's definitely the newest Disney song, Earworm.
Gotta love a catchy Disney song.
Yeah, like one that comes to mind is from the Nemo ride at Epcot.
Oh man,
that song is always stuck in my head. And but yeah, it's similar in that regard, I guess.
I love the animation of it too. Obviously, they stuck with the newer Mickey shorts, the animations of that.
Right. And the newer shorts have like kind of an old school animation style to it. So the ride, like, I would kind of say it feels old school, but with modern tech, which sounds kind of weird. But it's not like you like Rise of the Resistance is this technical marvel that pretty much only could have come out in the last like year or so.
Yeah.
But this ride definitely feels like more of a classic Disney attraction.
Like a mid 90s or a late 90s kind of Disney.
Yeah, it has that vibe. It's just with better technology, basically.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the projections are insane. The ride layout is similar to the Great Movie Ride. You can take scenes from this new ride and pair them to where scenes were placed. Oh, that's really cool.
So that's interesting. Let me say this about the Great Movie Ride.
Don't
you
say it. Don't you say it.
No. It's good. Don't get me wrong. It was good. But I really don't remember it very well, aside from like POVs I've watched, because so when I got my Disney Pass, it was like a couple months after it closed, so I didn't get to ride it one last time.
Yeah.
But before then, I hadn't been to that park and ridden it in like a decade, when I was like probably like 9 years old or something. So yeah, I wouldn't have known but obviously it's a different vibe. Like, I know it's a different vibe. In fact, a gamer here who just joined, if this is the real gamer, which I assume it is because it's TR Gamer, he did experience this attraction with me 2 days ago. He was present. He was. We conquered it together.
He was live and in person.
Indeed, yes.
Yeah, leave it down in the comment section. What did you think, Real Gamer?
Yeah, I think it's a very good addition to the park. Definitely, Mickey and Minnie deserve to have their own ride. It's fun. I mean, I was talking with my friend Mike after we did it. I was kind of talking about like our rankings. I wouldn't say this is like a.
Are we talking like Hollywood Studios ranking, or just overall Disney, like all throughout the parks, or?
Oh, just Hollywood Studios.
Okay. I'm gonna take a guess.
Okay. Well,
rankings.
Okay,
I'm gonna say for you, it's got to be one or two spots. It's got to be between Aerosmith and Tower of Terror. Just one of those. I'm gonna say Tower of Terror.
Is my number one?
Yeah.
No.
Oh God.
And it's not Aerosmith. You should know what number one is. It's like everyone's number one now at Hollywood Studios.
Oh, Slinky Dog.
No.
I'm joking. I haven't been to Hollywood Studios in like 2-3 years. I'm trying to think what's there. I mean, for you? It's got to be Rise of the Resistance.
Yeah, Rise is number one. Then Tower of Terror at 2.
Ooh.
Then I've got Aerosmith at 3, and Mickey and Minnie's at 4.
Oh, but there's not much left, right?
Yeah, well, I had Slinky Dog at 5, I think, and then like Smuggler's Run, Star Tours somewhere in there.
Star Tours, I forgot. Star Tours was there.
Toy Story Mania last. I know that might be a hot take. But no, I mean, I wouldn't say this was
Where's
like
Slinky Dog?
right. It's 5, right below Mickey and Minnie's.
Oh,
Slinky
that's
Dog.
not too
Slinky
bad.
Dog is just.
Oh, wait
I
a
feel like
minute,
a lot of
where's
people
Toy Story?
Mania, Toy Story Mania,
Yeah.
like last.
Oh my god.
Well, except for like alien swirling saucers, obviously, but
Bottom of the
that's just
barrel.
like
Wait a minute. So you would
okay.
would you
Geek
rather
culture,
go see? Oh yeah, I forget. There's Muppets.
We're
Yeah.
gonna have to fight because Muppets is not last. Muppet Vision is great. I just didn't count it because it's not a ride. I love Muppet Vision
well,
though.
yeah, I can get that.
But I'm a big. I was raised on
I was
partially
gonna
on
say
Muppets.
that ride would seem like it is synonymous with you. Not ride, show.
Muppet Vision.
Yeah,
Why
or
is that?
maybe not. I don't know why. I just think like you would find the humor of it, and I don't know.
Mhm.
Is it?
Yeah, it's the nostalgia. Like I feel like Disney rankings, like when it comes to Disney more than anything else, like nostalgia really plays into rankings.
Okay, so
Like,
if it
especially
feels
with
like an
Disney.
old school or something like, wow, this is a time period frozen in time, like how
Sure, yeah.
how high how old Epcot, like most of the attractions where you go and you're like, wow, this is something that's been around for like 20 years. Like I can kind of experience like a time capsule here, as opposed to what Epcot is heading to. Let's see. Geek culture. Muppets is last.
No, no.
See, GMR and Runaway Railway are two differently things. I love the experience, and I had a smile. Oh man, it was worth the wait.
I did
How
too,
long was the
'cause
wait?
Not long for us, because we had fast passes, so
You were able to get them, obviously.
they're running this attraction like
Crazy.
really, really efficiently. Like I don't know if you've seen on Twitter, but everyone is saying like, "Oh, it was posted 120 minutes, but we waited 50." You know, like, and when we went through Fast Pass, the ride was down for a little bit, like during the time we were gonna get on. So when it came back up, like everybody who had a Fast Pass for the last like couple hours was in line. And how long was it, Gamer? We got through in like 20 minutes tops, right? Like, I mean, it was really efficient. And when you go through Fast Pass, like, you're like right there.
You're just like right on the ride.
There's not much queue. Yeah.
Oh, the real gamer, he brings up another good point. Also, after doing it multiple times, it was interesting to see the different perspectives and shows depending on which car I was in. That is interesting. So
Yeah,
it is
I've been
definitely
reading
something
that.
you have to do multiple
Oh,
times.
That's what's so great about this ride. Well, one of the things is that there's so much re-rideability
Because
like,
it's almost like something you didn't catch the first time, and then like
Yeah,
even in the same scene, I'm assuming.
there's like, I guess there's like different storylines happening. Like there's a Pluto storyline happening, and I don't know. I didn't pick up on any of this stuff the first time.
Yeah,
but
because it's the
also
first time
even
you're taking
aside,
it all in. I'm sure.
Yeah, but aside from that, like for example, like the difference between this and like Rise of the Resistance. Rise, you're kind of like focused on what's in front of you, and like chances are when you ride it the first time, you're probably gonna see everything.
Wow.
Because of how they focus your car. It doesn't make it like less impressive, but like it's like the way they focus the car. But on this, you kind of enter a room, and there's stuff going on everywhere.
Yeah.
So like you can't possibly see everything. And there's tons of like details and Easter eggs, and yeah. So I mean, there's just so much to look at. And that gives it a lot of re-rideability, which is really good.
Wow. Oh, look at Mickey and Minnie having a little. Oh, are those the animatronics? Not to pre-spoil anything, because you did say there were animatronics in there.
Yeah,
So there's
I
a
can
couple.
remember there's
Okay.
right, like at the very beginning there's some animatronics, and at the very end, yeah, the little park scene. Sorry, I'm like a little delayed, but
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like at the beginning there's a couple. They aren't like the most incredible animatronics ever, but
Yeah. I mean, it's just
they're good.
a nice, simple. Yeah. It's not like a
Yeah.
Avatar type of thing, but
No, definitely not. but it's just really for me what it boiled down to was the kind of like chaos of the ride. Like, it's very chaotic. Like there's stuff happening all around, like I said, but the color palette was what really stuck out to me. It's so aesthetically pleasing. So
There's about to be 10 of them, I'd say.
yeah, Rise of Resistance is an experience in Runaway Road. Yeah, basically, like that's the thing with Rise. Like,
See, I haven't
it's
watched
definitely the
anything
most
on Rise. I know nothing about
Okay,
it
I'm not
other
gonna-
than one or two pictures. So,
I'm not gonna say anything specific,
hmm
but there's like a million pre-shows in Rise, and it's like a whole like theatrical experience almost. The ride is only like part of it, and yeah. So I think Rise is definitely the most like technically impressive attraction like in any park, but it's just the rewritability. You know, like I feel like after you get the novelty the first time, like it might not be as. I mean, it's still really impressive, but maybe not as amazing. I don't know because I've only rode it once. So, and that's why I prefer Hagrid's. Like that's why I think Hagrid's is the best attraction in Orlando, just because it's so like rewritable, and
is the
just the
number
perfect
one
seamless
best.
blend of theming. Right. It's like the perfect blend of theming and thrills. Like Hagrid's is not the most thrilling ride in Orlando, and it's not the most like immersive ride, but it's just such a good combination of both, and it's just so it's fun no matter how many times you do it. So I think Hagrid's is the best still.
And there
So,
you have it,
yeah.
folks. That
What do we got
is-
next? What next on the list? Sir?
Oops, hold on. I'm screwing around on the back end.
Okay.
There we go. Even the animatronics were a classic Disney ride to me. That's good. Let's see. Not underwhelming one or the other, but it's hard to compare the two from each other. I bet it is.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
too, just very
eagerly
different things,
excited to
like,
get back to Disney. Hopefully at some point. Maybe
There's a
this
lot of
year?
new stuff.
Which is good, I guess.
Ooh, really?
If you take time off from Disney, I mean, it's kind of hard because once you're kind of in the having an AP, like it's hard to let that go. Once it comes up time for renewal, you're like, oh man, am I going to take like a year off or 2 years and then have to come back and pay a lot, a little bit more, or am I going to just keep this going?
Yeah. I mean, are you planning to get like a new AP or just like a 1 day ticket?
Oh, it would definitely be AP more so than a 1 day. I mean, at this point, you might as well. You would pay just as much for a 1 day ticket.
I feel like right now, like, because okay, so I have a friend coming in October, and we're doing Disney, but only one park, and we're doing Hollywood Studios. Like, it just seems like Hollywood Studios is the park to go to right now.
Yeah, because obviously
like the new stuff, and it's just I've always felt like Hollywood Studios is a very manageable park. Like I get spoiled with Universal because it's so manageable. Like
and it's like the ins and outs, all the like little, I don't want to say secrets, but like, oh, we go here before we go here, and we can always do this a little later, and it almost feels like the ins and outs so well. At least for me, it seems like that. Like Hollywood Studios is, it, but it's unpredictable at times. Because if you don't have a fast pass for Rise of the Resistance, what happens? Like, are you screwed?
Well, there is like the fast pass thing, but the reason I say it's manageable is because like you just kind of park, and it's easy to walk from your car to the park, and like for example, at Animal Kingdom, which is my favorite Disney park, and honestly Hollywood Studios is probably second right now, but even at Animal Kingdom, like you park pretty far from the park, and don't even like get me started on Magic Kingdom, how much of a nightmare it is to get into the Magic Kingdom.
Magic Kingdom is one of those ones where it's like, I'm not coming here for one ride. This has got to be a whole day thing, or most
Magic
of the
Kingdom.
day.
Magic Kingdom like just stresses me out so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like having to plan Magic Kingdom is so stressful. It's a great park. I love the park, but my goodness, man. But Hollywood Studios is the place to go right now, and there's some good attractions that are pretty low weight reliably. There's good like walk-in stuff like Launch Bay and One Man's Dream, and I don't know. It just feels like the place to go at the moment.
Oh, you don't have a great segue, do you?
Not really. Magic Kingdom is my least favorite park. So, okay, my least favorite park right now is Epcot, just because it's such a disaster at the moment, and they're about to close Spaceship Earth.
Oh man, that's going to be closed for a while, right?
Like 2.5 years or something.
No way.
So yeah, it's like
that
2 years,
long?
something like that. That's what I was reading.
Oh my god!
And that's my favorite attraction in that park, and it's just like Epcot is so messed up right now that I just like have no desire to go.
Yeah, Epcot's one of those parks where it's like, I'll come back like in 3 years or 4
Yeah.
4 years.
Once Guardians opens, I'll be back.
Is that next year?
Yeah. Next year, I believe. Maybe this. No, I think it's next year. I think.
And then,
but
wait a minute.
Well, we are getting
Tron.
Ratatouille there. Well, Tron
Ratatouille is next year. No, Ratatouille
Ratatouille is this year.
Yeah, this year. Later this
summer.
year.
Summer.
Oh, summer. Oh. Well, I guess you will be back to Epcot.
Yes. Well, I mean, I'm going to be at Epcot like next weekend for Simple Plan, but I mean.
Oh, yes. Oh, is that a segue?
Is it? I don't think so.
You don't
we
think
were going to talk about. Well, I'm just seeing Simple Plan. They come every year. Oh, but like.
I did give you a segue.
Oh, you want to talk about the album now?
Well, or we can talk about that later. Up to you. Or it's
man.
up to anybody watching. It's a 3-year transformation that will. Yeah, what's funny is that it'll be finished by the time Universal's new park will be almost open. So.
Oh, true. No, actually, if it's finished in 2024, Epic Universe will be open. That's 2023.
Whoops. I thought it was 2025. Oh, whoops.
No. 2023.
So Epic Universal
SoCal.
already.
What's up?
Hey, what is up?
What
SoCal Exploring. What's up, man?
What's up?
Yeah, I was just
Anyways.
talking about we're going to have to maybe get you on one of these podcasts when the Secret Life of Pets opens very soon for you guys.
Yep.
No Walking Dead. Just
No Walking Dead. All right, you know what? I'm gonna take your segue. We can discuss the album.
Okay. He's taking the segue.
And then we'll end it with like a huge chunk of horror.
Okay. Okay, how about this? Okay, one more Disney thing. Okay, how about this? A plan for navigating music industry. Oh man, that is a great segue.
Yeah. We'll have to try and figure out a segue to that from this topic we're going to touch on real quick.
So, yeah, we'll just do kind of a brief mini review. So, I don't know if Connor found this band long when they came out, but I know since I'm older of the two, although you can see, Connor looks so almost like a kid in his animated figure.
Yeah.
There was a band called Silverstein, and they've been around since 2003. Oh my God, I can't believe I've been listening to emo music for that long. I can't believe they're still around, because that is a big thing when I was reading about their new album, and a lot of the articles I was reading was talking about how other bands who were in similar music have either, stopped performing, or they either changed their style, like maybe like The Used, or a lot of other bands, they just kind of fade out because it's just time and they're older, and then they can't just keep up the music. And Silverstein has been one of those pretty much one of the biggest, I think, consistent bands. I mean, would you agree with that, Connor? As far as
Well, I mean, within the scene, yeah, for
yeah,
sure. Not
and
like globally or anything,
yeah,
but
well, yeah, not. I mean, for their kind of scene of type of music, they've been pretty consistent of putting out like albums. What, like almost every other year, or I
roughly, yeah.
mean, for the most part,
This
they just had
album.
an album out last year, right? Or was it the
Well,
year
okay, so
before?
they had their last album out in 2017,
Mm-hmm.
but they did like a
Touring,
redux where they
crazy.
like they re-recorded some old stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they did like an anniversary edition of the first album when they were touring that. They did like an anniversary tour and everything. But this album is their ninth ninth studio album.
Ninth studio.
So
Oh my God, ninth.
it is ninth studio album. Yep, which is crazy.
Jeez. I'm trying to think of like how many other
Yeah.
like bands that were around their time, like how many albums they probably have like like 5 or 6 comparison.
hmm
So they came
They've been
out.
pretty consistent.
There we go. Oh, so Silverstein recently um came out with a EP before the album, right? Now the EP,
Uh,
how
the
long?
like the 4 song thing.
Yeah, that was.
So, well, what that is like what. So basically, those are actually just 4 singles, but
Mhm.
Spotify like kind of like groups them all together. Like,
Oh, see, I didn't know that. When I was listening on Spotify, I was like, "Oh, this is an EP together. Okay, this is cool."
right?
And then you told me,
No.
"Oh, the album comes out at midnight," and I was like, "Huh?" I was like, maybe he's wrong because maybe he meant the EP was out. I didn't know that. I didn't know it was an actual album like coming out. I thought it was just the EP, and that's what you were referring to.
No. um.
And they put out
Well, what do you?
Silverstein, A Beautiful Place to Drown.
Right. So
Um,
overall, what do you think? I am curious to hear this.
I am. I've given it multiple listens. I've listened to it probably about 7 or 8 times, I want to say. And it's a
hmm
very easy album to listen to. It's very quick. I mean, it's a short album. It's what, 36 minutes
Something
or
like
something
that.
like that? 30
Yeah,
something
it's like
minutes?
12 tracks. Yeah, 12
Yeah,
tracks,
12 tracks. Um,
all around 3 minutes.
what's funny is how we mentioned the EP album, and the EP album actually has every single track, I believe, on the EP has a feature, right? So it's like a
Right.
collaboration, where I'm not sure the details of like how they collaborated, like whether they just had some artists just come in and do their vocals, or did they kind of like create the strong, create the song from the start with them. I think there is, I believe, a video out with the lead singer, and he kind of goes through every track and explains a lot of the stuff and the collaborations. You can find out on YouTube. Um, but I found all the EP songs were really, really strong, and the collaborations were good. They all fit in. They all sounded really good. Especially, I never listened to Beartooth.
Oh, really?
I've never listened to them before. Like, I've heard of the band. I know you've watched them multiple times. I've just been one of those bands I've never listened to. So when I was listening to the EP, I was like, "Whoa, this is a damn good track." Like, I don't know who this is, because I don't really ever know the people's names. So for me, it was more of a mystery of like listening
Yeah.
to the EP and being like, who is this person? Oh, this sounds almost like it could be this, or maybe it's influenced by this. But I was totally
Yeah.
wrong on my guesses. I didn't know the guy was from the Under Oath. I didn't know the guy was from Beartooth. I didn't know um, the female. I didn't know she was a rapper. I thought she was just from another rock band. And then Simple Plan, which was the segue I was talking about, which
Yeah.
I enjoyed all those tracks. Now, for me, somewhere in the middle, once they get through like the first 3 or 4, and it kind of becomes just Silverstein's tracks, like their own tracks with no collaborations, I found those tracks to be a little lukewarm for me. They kind of, I don't know if it just was the style of the music, like they were trying to maybe venture out a little more on those tracks, but they were just, I don't know. I don't want to say boring, because they're still I mean, you could still listen to them. They're easy listening, but they're just not what I expect from Silverstein. And then, the track has a few more tracks a little later on that picks up. I think you stated what, Madness?
Yeah, well, that's one of the collab tracks.
Oh, that's one of the collab tracks.
The one with Princess
Whoops.
Nokia. Right.
So I think I enjoyed all the collaboration tracks. One or two of their solo tracks in the middle of the album was a little kind of stale for me.
Yeah, I think I like generally agree. One thing I like about this is that it's kind of just like not the same. Like, I mean, when you reach 9 albums,
yes.
If you're Silverstein creatively, like, you're gonna want to try something different eventually. Sometimes that works for fans, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah. I would say overall this album works. Like, it's good. I do agree. Like, the collab tracks were kind of the highlight, and I think Madness is the best song on the album.
So you're not even going to say Burn It Down?
I like Burn It Down. Obviously, Caleb, did you end up listening to Beartooth? Like, when you probably like Beartooth.
Yeah, listening to that track makes me definitely say, like, well, I'm going to be checking out Beartooth.
Do you know, like, what band Caleb fronted before Beartooth?
No.
Attack Attack.
Oh my! Whoa.
So Beartooth is like where he went after Attack Attack.
Wow.
So.
Did not know that.
So, but yeah, I would say Burn It Down is good. I like Infinite. The chorus is not the best, but I really like the lyrics. And I like the song with Intervals. Let me see. Let me pull up the album.
Did you like the song with Simple Plan? I like how it says Simple Plan. It doesn't say. So.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
I wonder if like other members weren't in.
Oh yeah, that's why I didn't understand.
Yeah,
so
Intervals, yeah.
The other tracks were the lead singers, or most of the lead singers. And that one just said Simple Plan, which was hilarious to me.
Intervals is he's like a solo guitarist. Like, he does instrumental stuff.
Oh.
He does like the solo in that song, I believe. But yeah, I think Madness, like you said. So I'm looking at my Spotify where I like save the songs that I like from the album, and I saved all of the features, all the ones with a feature, and I only saved 2 that didn't have a feature. One of those is Say Yes, and the other is Stop.
Yes, that was.
I think Madness and Stop. I know Stop didn't have a feature, but I think Madness and Stop are the 2 best songs on the album, and it's because both of them have the best choruses. Like, the chorus is so catchy on those 2. So, and it's good lyrical content too, which is important.
And
I will say I think it's definitely. I think it's weaker than their last outing, Dead Reflections. I think Dead Reflections was a more like solid album than this. And I probably put this towards the bottom.
Uh-oh. Hold on. I don't know if you're coming through on my end.
Oh, really? Wait. Can you hear me?
Go ahead. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
It might have just been my computer chopping up.
What was the last thing you had heard?
It was just the last couple seconds that chopped up.
Oh, well, okay, so I would say like this is probably more towards the bottom of their discography. I would say, but that's not necessarily like the worst thing, because most of their stuff is good. I think like the only album they have that's bad is Arrivals and Departures, probably.
Oh, ouch.
So, but yeah, I mean, there's some good stuff on there, but my favorites are Madness and Stop. Those are my two right now off this album.
I think, yeah, all the EP tracks. I just listened to the EP, which is kind of sad to say. Wait a minute, was Bad Habits? Bad Habits was
Yeah,
was
that's the
that
one
on
with
the
intervals.
EP? Okay, that was
Yeah.
okay.
So
There you have it,
I'm trying
folks.
I'm trying to think of a
Oh,
good segue.
well, I'll say the weird segue is their whole vibe with this album is very trippy, and it's very like, I don't know, it's just weird. Like it almost takes you to another world. Like you're transported into this world of madness, which brings us to Candyman. We can talk about
Right.
that.
If you say Candyman's name 4 times, you should stop.
Why?
Yeah, because the song "Stop" off the Silverstein album.
Oh, good one. I did not get
See?
it. Oh, this man's trying to out segue me.
Hey, you know, I gotta do my best.
So, Jordan Peele is back at it again. Well, technically, he's not back at it. Although it's kind of funny because everyone's going to say, like, did you see that new Jordan Peele Candyman? It's like, he didn't do it. Like, he didn't write it. He didn't direct it. He just kind of produced it and pretty
I
much
thought he
probably...
did write it.
Did he write it? Or is he co-write? I think he might co-write. Maybe...
Yeah, him and Nia
maybe
DaCosta.
lended a hand on some scenes.
Yeah,
Or the story, or it might be like the short, like, you know how sometimes they'll come up with the "Don't do that, SoCal, don't you do that."
He's credited with, he's got a producer credit and he's got a screenplay credit. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, good. Connor's on his knowledge.
Yep.
So this is going to be coming out pretty soon, I want to say.
Yeah, isn't it like
I don't have the date.
June-ish?
Yeah, I think it was like it was earlier than I was expecting. 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave my thoughts on the trailer. Connor, obviously you've probably seen the trailer since then. You can, well, we're not going to show the trailer because because they love to mess around with blocking nets. But here we go. There is a look at our new Candyman. And it is not played by Tony Todd this time around. Although some people have said in the trailer you can maybe spot Candyman sort of popping up, or maybe this is a sequel, but it's a continuation from the previous Candyman films. Like the curse has sort of lived on, so that's why we can still have sort of a cameo from the original Candyman, Tony Todd, seen on, there he is right there, the original, the one and only. He's sort of like the Black Freddy, like for us, you know, for black folks, because I can't think of any other sort of like villainous, like black horror figures, you know. He comes to mind. Like he's one of the well-known horror icons, you know, Candyman, Ghostface, Pinhead, you know, Freddy, Jason. He's up there with them. And the fact that he's only had, what, 3 Candyman movies? It's pretty big.
Right. Yeah, you're pretty much right. The only thing I can think of is the Tethered from Us, but of course that came out last year, so that's a pretty big gap.
Good
between
point. Good point.
The early 90s and you know, yeah, I mean, I'm excited to check this out. I will say I'm not like the biggest fan of the original. I think it was one of those cases where it was like you've got a great villain, like I love Candyman.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought the movie itself was a little boring in places, but there's also like a lot of good scenes, and I do think the villain is really cool. I think it's a really cool concept.
Yeah, and if you
And I think Jordan Peele, with what he's done so far, I think he has potential to really. And this is rare because usually, and we'll have to talk about this later. This is a little bit of foreshadowing, but typically remakes are not better than the original.
Mhm.
Typically, but I think this has a shot at that.
it could potentially be on par, if not better. Is really weird, but really scary and unique. I just watched the original. Oh, was that your first time, Geek Culture? Because I might watch it this weekend. Might, because I know it just recently popped up on. I want to say Netflix has the first one, or maybe the first and second. I know Amazon Prime, I think, has 2 and 3, I believe, if not all of them. So that's something to watch this weekend for you folks. If you are haven't seen Candyman and you have Netflix, it is on there. I mean, what are the chances this would possibly come to Horror Nights? I mean, are you more in favor on the odds or less?
Well, just from things I've heard, rumblings, and like boards, like reading the message boards and stuff.
Yeah.
I would have been really confident in this like a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm not quite so sure,
Ooh.
but I still think there's a pretty decent chance. I know a lot of people was like, Jordan Peele signed a contract with Universal for however many years.
Yeah.
I don't know if that means that like there's just going to be 3 Jordan Peele properties over 5 years, or if it's like it's going to be 3 years in a row.
Ooh.
No one really knows the logistics of that contract except for people who worked on the contract.
There's no saying if that project means films directed by him or just films like produced and sort of
Produced
like his
and written,
involvement. Yeah. Okay, yeah. There's no saying if it could be one or the other.
I would love to see him design a maze for Horror Nights, like an original.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'd really like to see happen.
I would think Jordan Peele would do great with doing an anthology house. And it would just be like, I don't know, like short stories, or it's just something like that way he could maybe do some kind of collaborative thing where it's like he comes up with this, I don't know, like a Tales from the Crypt idea or something where it's like Twilight Zone-ish, where it's just short, like 5 short stories, but they're expanded into the house. That could be something, because it would kind of give him the idea to do sort of short films rather than like one long epic story.
Right.
That's where I can maybe see the idea. And with the relationship last year of Us, it's sort of like, hey, this is kind of all the things line up for this, obviously. It's Candyman. I'm sure it's always been on their list for Horror Nights to sort of do the classic Candyman, and it can kind of cover 2 grounds with that, maybe of showing some of the original and then transitioning into the new one.
Yeah, I think like you said, Candyman's definitely been on their list, and I think the biggest case for it is like it's probably never going to be as current again as it's going to be this year.
Yeah,
that's
definitely
when you put the way it works right now in the horror genre is if you put Jordan Peele's name on something, it's going to be popular because he's just killing it right now. I mean, it does feel like the perfect year to do it. Obviously, the only hindrance is that it's the 30th anniversary and they might have other things planned.
That's true.
But that could be a hindrance. But
yeah, it could always be one of those extra IP houses that's just like, oh, hey, this is just something to bring in, kind of the other audience that, may have not gone to Horror Nights before, who are not kind of aware of like, oh, this is an anniversary year. Like, who is this Jack character? Like, Sort of how Us brought in probably a bigger, primarily urban audience to Horror Nights that may have not went before. The same way like Ghostbusters probably brought in, an older nerd audience, not meaning nerd in a bad way, but that type of audience to the event as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I think we're at a point now where there's gonna be like, even if we have an anniversary year with like Jack and hopefully the Terror Queen, like there's still gonna be a huge IP to draw to be like a big focus in the marketing, because that's like the point Horror Nights is at now, and I really can't see any reason why they would go back, because attendance is higher than it's ever been. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I wouldn't see Candyman being their first announcement. Like, it's not.
No,
and it doesn't feel big enough that it would. But it is right around the time of June. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it will be like the headline IP if it comes. But
we have had announcements. What's the earliest? Like May?
I mean, last year and the year before it was late March.
Oh my gosh.
So theoretically we should be getting an announcement in like 3 weeks.
That is
3 weeks time.
Just, gives me
I know, it's
chills
crazy to
think about that. Like, oh man, the first announcement could be around the corner.
Yeah, I was kind of speculating what that could be.
The Walking Dead.
I was like, oh god. I feel like it's got to be either like, I feel like the first announcement's either got to be like a huge IP, which it's kind of interesting this year because I don't really know what the heck it's going to be.
Yeah, if there's no Stranger Things on the table, and this is all rumor talk, we have really no knowledge on this. It's just rumblings, stuff we hear. You combine that with stuff that's said in the chat room by some shady figure in a trench coat that's standing on Universal property getting secrets somehow. It's just all pretty much speculation and rumor talk.
Yeah.
So
and things can change. It's so early on.
I mean, think about in the past. Last minute.
Us was such a late ad last year that they had already cast like the original house. Like it was already casted.
Wow.
And they had to let that cast go because they're like, okay, we got Us now, and we're gonna scrap this original.
Ouch.
So
we'll stick you somewhere else.
hopefully those people still got jobs, but
yeah. We'll stick you as the little puppets and Killer Clowns that do the little hand puppets.
I would have done that.
Yeah.
But no, like I think the first announcement's got to be either this massive IP, which, like you were saying, if Stranger Things is out, we don't know. And even in 27, when I was going for the first time reading speculation, pretty much everyone knew the first announcement was going to be American Horror Story because it was there in 26 and it was coming back.
I'm trying to think what could be that huge. I mean, like,
we'll have to find out.
What was the first announcement last year? Was it Stranger Things? Okay, it was just Stranger Things again. Okay.
Yeah, so that wasn't really much of
the previous year as well. So
right. And even the previous year, like it was Stranger Things was the new property, but I feel like it was pretty much out there that it was getting announced. But at this point, I have no idea what the first announcement is. And
because how do you top Stranger Things? A show
we'll
that's seen by I don't know how many millions and millions of people.
I'm interested to see where they go from there, and I think the other possibility for a first announcement is the return of Jack, if that is a thing.
And that wouldn't probably be a first announcement of anything, because it's got to be obviously an IP.
It could be, yeah. I don't know. I'm very interested to see what it is, and I do hope it happens this month because I want to know. I want some. Cause I really like, because I remember we talked about this before, I think, but they used to just do like a big info dump, and you would know everything like all at once.
They would just drop it and be like, "Oh, here's."
I really love. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no! I was just saying, they would just drop it at midnight or something and be like, "Oh, here's all the info." Or I like when they did it. Didn't they do like a whole week of like announcements or something like that, where it was like, oh, every day or every like I feel like they did that a few years ago, where they're like, "Oh, it's
Well,
announcement week or something," and they announced like it was like a couple houses, and then it was like all the scare zones.
maybe I don't really remember. I know they kind of like towards like mid-August they start announcing things in pretty close proximity.
Hmm.
But I really enjoy how, um, you'll get like an announcement in March, and you'll get an announcement in April, maybe two. Last year we had two. Um, that was Nightingales and Universal Monsters, and you'll get
Oh,
like an announcement in May. Like I like that there's like an announcement every month because like I get really hyped for Horror Nights like really early. Like once it hits like February, I'm hyped for Horror Nights as if it's happening like next week. So it's nice to kind of get like thrown a bone every month.
yeah,
It's like here's a little something, um, and it keeps the speculation going. You have the speculation season going,
yeah,
and I don't know. This part of the season's kind of fun. Like speculating's fun, and then you kind of get like something to look forward to each month, pretty much.
yeah. It's like
But
a little joy to look forward.
it's like a little piece of Horror Nights that happens every month before the event starts, which is nice.
Like a
It's
little
nice for
advent
us.
calendar.
Exactly like that. Yeah. So, speaking of Horror Nights, I'm trying to think of how I can tie this together. Uh, and properties that people keep seeming to tweet about, even though I don't really see how it could happen. There's a little movie that came out,
It was a
a horror
little
film,
teeny tiny movie.
a little teeny tiny movie that is exceeding many expectations
Yeah.
in terms of both reviews and the box office.
And that movie is The Invisible Man. I don't know why
Da,
I
da,
want
da,
to say it
da.
like that.
Like he's a superhero.
The Invisible Man,
The
man.
Invisible Man.
He's, well, technically he really is invisible because he wasn't in the movie that much. I mean,
Right.
that is one movie where the title does not lie.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to talk briefly about, I'm assuming, I guess, like the hype of this. Is it overhyped, or is it kind of early in the year and it's a decent horror movie and that's what kind of makes it seem like it's very hyped? Or, most people are, going, cocoa for Cocoa Puffs over it. I've seen people tweet out like best horror movie I've seen in years, and I'm like, come
Yeah,
on,
no,
man!
definitely
Like
not.
you
Yeah.
probably don't watch horror movies if you're saying that. Not to
No,
say
it's
it's
not. No,
not good, but I mean the best in years. Come on, man.
no, definitely not. For me, this is like, I know this is gonna sound harsh,
Oh,
but like for me, it's like a solid thriller movie that's like a fun watch.
hmm,
But will I be thinking about this movie in like 5 years? No, like it's gonna get lost in time for me personally. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like it's just sit down and watch, I enjoy it, and then I just kind of move on and don't really think about it much after that.
Oh man.
It is kind of an anomaly because good horror movies in like January, February can be hard to come by. So, that may have caught some people off guard, maybe.
Hmm.
Um, you do get a really solid performance out of Elizabeth Moss in this film, and I think that probably drove a lot of the critic scores up
Hmm.
because she was really, really good in this, to her credit.
Yeah.
The writing was okay.
It's a one person, pretty much
You
like
know,
a standalone performance. Like she's the only one driving the entire movie, like forward,
hmm
with her acting.
right? There's some really tense moments as well. Some really good use of music, and then sometimes lack thereof.
Hmm.
They really build tension well. You know, there's some good things about this for sure. I just don't think it's like you said, it's not like one of the best horror films in years, and it's like not gonna be overly memorable for me in time.
Mm-hmm.
So those were kind of my first takeaways of it.
Did you? Okay, so for people who don't know, you have seen the original, and it's
Mm-hmm.
one of your favorites, right? Of the
Yes.
original classic monsters, besides Creature,
Right.
obviously.
No, I like Invisible Man the best out
Oh,
of all of them. Well, okay, Creature is like a great creature.
Creature
It's
feature.
just like, but the movie, like Invisible Man, is like the best.
And so the contrast between like that one being the Invisible Man and it pretty much involving the actual man, like the character, like throughout his journey, and this, the more I think about them doing the Invisible Woman, the more I kept second, like kind of revisiting this in my mind and thinking, was this just a big setup, like to push for the Invisible Woman because of things that happened towards a little later on at the end of the movie?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it almost felt like, so was this just a prequel for that? Like, or I mean, yes, it can stand alone if they never did the Invisible Woman movie, but it just kind of had that idea in the back of my mind, like how early did they know they were gonna maybe do the Invisible Woman, and did that, maybe influence some things in here?
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. I didn't think about that, but that does make sense. Yeah, that would be interesting.
And
I mean, they
there's a
could
look.
do. I think I wouldn't be surprised.
There's
I
a
mean, with how successful.
there's a look at the Invisible Man. Now that I'm thinking about it, when I look at the picture, it reminds me of a Terminator, a T2. Like for some reason, like when the officer morphs into that metal, like
Yeah.
that's what it reminded me of, at least when he's invisible.
Another like definite positive for me with this was it's so vastly different from the original. Like they almost like didn't even need to call it the Invisible. Like the only real similarity is that the dude's last name is Griffin, and
Oh.
The title. That's pretty much it. Like that's one thing that I respect though, because I'm looking at you, Disney. Like some of these remakes are just completely pointless,
Yeah,
because it's just the
copy and
same
paste,
story,
copy and
but
paste.
it's like with the Disney live action remakes, it's just the same story but worse, right? So like this though, it's so different from the original that like it justifies its existence, which I really respect that. I'm glad they just didn't try and do a scene for scene copy of the original, but modern. It just would have been pointless because you can just watch the original.
And it kind of puts us in a hard spot where it's like, man, I like the idea that you did something different, but I don't know. It's something about that. Like,
what do you mean?
Because, well, I'm saying like I know when we've talked about Invisible Man, the idea, well, from what the trailer had shown, you were not too keen on the idea of it being more about the a spouse abusive storyline.
Yeah.
Did that kind of change when you watched it, where you're like, oh, okay, this kind of fits, I get this, or did it feel like that was a separate story and they're like, hey, like we'll add chocolate to peanut butter type of thing, like here's this story about the Invisible Man, here's this story about like a woman, sort of trying to get out of this situation and kind of regain her life back, and we'll just kind of marriage those two together to make this horror movie.
I don't know. I guess I kind of read it differently than what the trailer showed, or maybe not what the trailer showed, but how I read the trailer. Like when I read the trailer, I was like, "Oh, geez, this is just gonna be a movie about just this girl getting beat up by her man,
Mm-hmm.
and then she gets away from him, and he comes back so he can beat her up some more.
Oh man.
But the way I read the movie was she's trying to get people to believe her,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really what it was down to. Is like people thought she was crazy, and that to me kind of was a message about believing domestic violence victims in general.
Mm-hmm.
So in that regard,
That's a good point. I never even thought about that when I was watching
so
it.
in that regard, I like the way they handled it,
Mm-hmm.
because it shows like, hey, we should believe these victims because, you know, crap's really happening.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, in that regard, I think it was okay. It wasn't just like a beat 'em up movie like I was worried it was going to be. So
Makes me think of like a video game. Beat 'em up.
Yeah. I do think they handled the subject pretty well, and that's commendable because it is a topic that you have to handle well, or it's going to not go well at all for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you know, I respect how they handled it. And I did like this is a little off topic from what we were just talking about, but I did like the nod to the original when she like passes out and goes to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
You remember? And she's like sitting in the lobby, and she looks, and there's like the dude in full bandages getting wheeled out.
Oh, good point. I didn't even.
Yeah.
I don't know
I was
what
like,
I was thinking for some. I didn't even think that was. Man, that's a good point.
I was like, yeah, there he
You're
is.
like, oh man, I want to ask about the spoiler, but I can't. I don't want to spoil the movie because it's only been out. Since
you can ask me after we're done.
Last week, yeah. We don't want to spoil things for you guys.
No, but yeah. I mean, I will say this: it is very much inferior to the original, though, for sure.
And most people, not to bring it back to Horror Nights, they keep. I keep hearing people say like, well, you know, it's the monsters. You know, it's the first of its kind. It's. I think Universal's, are they behind the project or they're in some kind of way distributing or something? I want to say
let me see. I'll look that
they have
up.
a hand in that at some point. But most people are saying like, oh man, I think this would make a great Horror Nights
they
house.
Distributed.
Oh, okay. So Universal did distribute it. So it would make it easy for them to sort of put this as a house. I don't know how special effects wise.
No.
They would have to do a lot of like not green screen, but a lot of projections maybe. I just don't see it kind of working.
Well, it's kind of this trap that people fall in is like, if every time a good horror movie comes out, they're like, will it come to the event?
Yeah.
Like without maybe thinking about how it could work logistically.
Yeah.
The dude's invisible for like the whole movie. So what's going to pop out and scare you? Like a puff of air every time?
Good point. I mean, unless they just take scenes from the movie, like I would think, I don't know. Like it would feel kind of redundant after a while. Well, I guess you would do the scenes that happen in the house. You would do some of the scenes that happen in the hospital.
The diner scene.
Yeah,
but it would really just be like walking into a room and like
they would have
watching
to have
a
the
scene
same actress. Well, that would be funny too because the actress, they would have to hire a whole lot of lookalikes to look like each other because you're going to see her throughout the whole house, either screaming or running around or like pretending like she's being kind of thrown around or choked or. So.
And that's all you could really do, except like you could maybe have a dude pop out in the suit a couple times, and that's about it.
Yeah,
but
once
paint covered, and then like
paint covered, or once the suit is kind of altered or messed with. However, they would do that.
Mm-hmm. What I could see is like, I don't know, because James Wan might be doing like a Frankenstein movie or something. I was reading, So maybe like when that comes out and like I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna like try the Dark Universe again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
So
they're not
if
maybe doing that. They might just be doing solos.
okay. Well, even if they do that, like maybe years down the line, it could be like a mashup house of like kind of the reimagined monster movies, and then you could have like a scene or two from this in there. But as like a full house, I couldn't imagine it working very well,
Yeah.
and I just don't think they'd want to. I don't know.
Touch
I just couldn't see them
anything
wanting to do it.
relating to domestic.
Right, because realistically, like the whole house would just be like you'd kind of be walking through watching a girl get attacked by her invisible boyfriend,
Mm-hmm.
and that'd be the house. Like I don't know. There's so many things going against it. The only thing going for it is it was successful as a movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I couldn't really see it happening.
It's always funny to think since something is successful box office wise now, especially because we're still early in the year, would it be just as successful or would it be on people's minds once September and October rolls around? Because you got to think we have The Conjuring's going to be coming out. We have Candyman. We have there's
Halloween.
Halloween's going to be around. There's another, I believe,
Quiet
another
Place.
James Wan horror movie that's going to be coming out, I think, after the summer.
A Quiet Place 2 is coming as well.
Yep. So there's
So-
a whole bunch of like horror movies and bigger almost horror movies that are coming this year.
Right. And that's what I mean when I say like it's going to get lost in time. Like this movie might be like lost in time before the year ends. So
I'll be
like
remembering like, oh yeah, that did come out. Oh man.
yeah, in like another 5 years, like it's going to be It's going to be like I'm not even going to be thinking about it. You know.
Yeah.
This didn't feel like a timeless movie to me. It was just like a fun diversion for like a little under 2 hours. Which there's nothing wrong with that. You know, not every movie could be timeless.
Mm-hmm.
So
There's Connor's thoughts on The Invisible Man. I'm glad to finally know what you think about it.
So we have one more thing.
One more thing. Yes, that we do. This was dropped today out of nowhere. I didn't even know this was coming.
Same.
Yeah, take a look at this little teaser that came up, and we'll discuss this once it ends. Hold on. There we go. And that was it. that was all that just popped up. That was and to most folks they would be like, what the hell is that? What, I don't understand. What what am I looking at here? Do you care to explain what this is, Connor? What is this?
Well, it would appear that HBO is looking to do, well, not looking to do, they are going to do a TV series based on The Last of Us,
That
which is
right.
a very successful story-based video game for PS4 that came out, what was it? I don't know, but I know like the second one is coming out this year as well. Like the second game plus the series.
Yep. And this is brought to us by HBO from Chernobyl creator Craig Manzin. And we obviously have the creator of Last of Us, Neil Druckmann. That's the kind of face you make when you're successful. That smile, that's a smile.
So cheeky.
That's a smile when you roll out of bed and you're like, I love what I do for work.
Mm. I hope that can be me one day.
I think this is a match made in heaven. This is like the perfect pairing. You couldn't have two better collaborations with this, because HBO themselves have proven numerously, time and time again, they've proven that they can do TV almost unlike anybody else. They have the money. I mean, look at Game of Thrones. Holy crap. They
Right.
have the time, they have the money, they have everything needed to make this spectacular. And Chernobyl, which I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble. We'll try this real briefly. But if you've never seen Chernobyl, there's just a brief look. It's obviously about, Chernobyl. But most people said it was really good. I haven't seen it yet.
Yep.
It is
I
a
have not seen
limited
it.
series, right? It was just a limited. It's not like
I think so,
like
yeah.
a 5-season type of thing. It's just I think it's just maybe five
Like
or
a mini
six.
series.
Yeah, it's a mini series. And you can just see, just looking at the look of this, that how it would fit with something being kind of post-apocalyptic. I mean, you can see a scene like just this scene right here. You can see sort of like this, the town is pretty much almost being in shambles, just like how it is when it comes to The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I agree. I think this is definitely a match made in heaven now that you've, yeah.
And this is the first time I think we've seen, well, not the first time we've seen HBO involved in something sort of horror, because they've had True Blood and they've had a few other things. I mean, Game of Thrones had its scary moments, and I'm sure they've HBO was the original, if you didn't know, that had Tales from the Crypt. That's what.
Really?
Yeah, Tales from the Crypt used to be an HBO. I want to say an exclusive. It used to be on air. If you don't know what Last of Us is, this is a brief look at the trailer for the first one. It involves a father and daughter, I believe, right?
Yes.
And they are basically, in this post-apocalyptic world. I think is it a virus? Kind of like Corona, that has spread and made these creature-like things that are horrifying. Oh my God, they're freaking
Yeah,
nightmares. And I could just see the writing and the story in depth between the father and daughter, and how they're gonna do that. Whether they're gonna do some jumping around because how things work out in the story, and I'm not going to spoil anything between the first one and the second one, or are they going to do just solely based around the world of the first one? I mean, we'll have to just see that in time when they do the trailer. But it's going to be really good, I think, to see a story with a father and daughter type of bond, and the struggles and how they fight to survive together. I don't think I've seen that really in a show, because I'm trying to think, like, the closest you would think is AMC's The Walking Dead with Rick and his son Carl, and how they kind of fought to survive in the world of the zombies or walkers walking around, and the threat of the human element as well. That's sort of how I see this, but much darker and much better, obviously, on the writing, and the budget to be higher.
Yeah, I think this is something that you should really keep your eye on, because The Last of Us as a game was already very successful.
It won multiple awards, Game of Years awards.
I think, like, even before this TV show was a thing, like, and I mean, it would have had to have been a few years ago, but Horror Nights could have easily, and I know they haven't touched video game houses since Resident Evil, which wasn't very well received.
Yeah.
But this could easily have been a house, I think, and it could have been successful. And I think this show is really one to keep an eye on. I could see this being a new Stranger Things or Walking Dead level of popularity. Like,
damn, I would love it. Come on,
HBO. If this is really good, like this could be like the new pop culture phenomenon TV show. That's how, like, not sure I am, but how much potential it has.
Yeah.
And of course,
like all the right pieces, like HBO, you got the guy from Chernobyl, you got the lead guy from Behind The Last of Us. So it's like everything's lining up for this. And
like, to connect it to Horror Nights, like, if this is a successful TV series, like, there's like no doubt in my mind that it would end up coming, not like this year.
Yeah,
but
that would be a big collaboration of HBO and Horror Nights together. Wow.
Because, like, when you think about it, the show, like, I assume if they did a house, it would just be based on the show. But you're still going to attract fans of the game, which there's so many fans of the game, you know? It's such a popular game, and you've got the second one coming out. So I think there's a lot going in favor of this, and I really hope it's good. I'm going to be honest, I've not actually played the game all the way through. So the story on that is, like, I used to have a PS4, and I ended up selling it like a while back. So I never got to play the game, but I will. Since it's not on Xbox, so I will probably watch like a playthrough of it so I can get the story.
That's a good point. I was gonna say, if you're interested in this, like, you're thinking to yourself, what is this The Last of Us? I want to know more about this. You can look it up on YouTube. I believe there's actual, like, videos that are just the cutscenes, and they're so good that you can almost just sit there and watch it, and it's pretty much like watching a movie. They're that good, and that's just not even including, like, the great gameplay and, you know, the horrifying elements that come and playing throughout the game. The cutscenes are just as good as I'm sure the show would be. Oh God, these things. Yeah, God.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited for this. Like, I just see a lot of potential here. So.
Oh shit.
Excited.
Oh God! If they announced this as a house, I'd be freaking out in the line. I'd be like right there. I'd be like, nope. I like how he chokes it. Like he grasps. I'd be like, I don't want to touch you. Give me some hand sanitizer.
Do you remember? Well, I know you didn't see the house in person, but I remember in 2018, like during the Seeds of Extinction stuff, like people were talking about how it's kind of like The Last of Us as a house, because some of, like, the creatures in Seeds of Extinction look like the creatures in Last of Us, I guess. Of course, it's still.
That's a good point. Then, yeah, that kind of was like the lush world of right here. Is sort of like how the world has sort of, you know, ceased to end, and nature has sort of overgrown, and that's why the post-apocalyptic world looks so green and lavish. Kind of like you said, it reminds me of Seeds of Extinction, how, like, the plant life has taken over everything, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely, like, sure there's some inspiration there. But man, I think this would make a really cool house if this series is successful. Like, man,
and this is
the potential.
This is also going along with the fact that Naughty Dog is also hard at work on the Uncharted series. Is going to be a movie with Tom.
That's right.
Yeah, Tom. What's his name? How do you say his name? Spider-Man. Tom
Holland.
Tom Holland. Yeah.
Tom Holland.
Yeah, he's going to be playing in the new, and Mark Wahlberg as well. I don't know why.
Have you ever had a burger?
That's gonna
Have
be
you ever had a burger from Wahlburgers?
Say hi to your mother for me.
Have you ever had a Wahlburgers burger?
No, I have not.
Dude, they're actually fire.
They're actually? Oh.
They actually are pretty good. I'm not going to lie.
I remember when they first came to Orlando, I think I heard rumblings of some people say like, it's okay. And I was like, ever since I had heard that, I never had the drive to or the need
That's
to
fair.
be to eat it. But if it's decent,
I thought it
me,
was
I love
solid.
a
I thought it
good
was.
burger.
It might vary from like location to location.
Oh.
Like like you know how that goes. Like some McDonald's are like way worse than other McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, okay, so there's like 2 McDonald's near me.
Yeah.
One of them is like so good. Like it's so good. Like the burgers just are on point. They always get your order right. But then the other McDonald's, they always get something wrong. Dude, this is like the craziest thing. This is such a tangent, by the way. But one time I went to the McDonald's and I was like, "Can I get a burger like just cheese?" And they were like, "Yeah." So obviously I just wanted a plain cheeseburger, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Can I just get a burger with just the cheese on it?" I think that's exactly what I said. So pull up to the window, get my food, drive all the way home, sit down, unwrap my burger. Dude, these people put no meat on. They literally just it was the bun and 2 slices of cheese, and that was it. They didn't put the dang patty on the burger.
So they gave you like just a grill,
cheese
not even a
sandwich.
grilled cheese because it's not grilled. So
No, the cheese wasn't even melted. It was just a cheese sandwich. Of course, I ate it because I was hungry, and I wasn't going to drive back. So that's a tangent that we just went on.
And then now I mean it's almost like the end of the world with these restaurants, because I just saw the other day Wendy's is bringing back their breakfast, although it's been in some locations testing like for a while now, but it's now nationwide, I guess. KFC has donuts or donut chicken sandwiches.
Oh, those look like they would kill you.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what'll start the apocalypse in The Last of Us.
Yep.
KFC donut sandwiches.
It's between the coronavirus and donut chicken sandwiches.
They should do a house in like 10 years where it's like the concept is, what if the coronavirus won?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's just like a bunch of infected people. So yeah, that's what I have to say about The Last of Us.
I think, is that it?
I think that's all we got.
That is a jam-packed full show for you guys.
Sure is.
That is it.
That's it.
That's it.
Yep.
There's no segue. Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in. This has been the Connor and Chris podcast. I'm sure that name is going to change in time.
Oh, definitely, for sure. Yep.
Yep. As the animated character to my left states. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you like the show, give us some good feedback. Give us some thumbs up. You know, all that jazz. Connor, I did make a promise, and I did fail that promise. I said I was going to get you a banner, and I forgot to do that.
That's all right. So
that's my fault.
The main thing is the Twitter. It's Connor, CONNERW 96. Yep. And Instagram's the same, but in 82. I don't know why I just didn't make them the same. I guess because I'm stupid.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. You can get to my YouTube channel from there if you want to check that out.
Links to all Connor's social media will be down in the description box. Wherever you watch this, if it's over on Twitch or if you're watching it over on YouTube, check out his channel. Did you do a vlog for Mickey's ride, right? Or no?
I sure did, and it is flopping in the views department, so please watch it.
So I'll definitely have a link to that video down in the description box. Make sure to watch it, please, guys. Show Connor some love.
Thank you.
Believe it or not, he is a real person. So,
I am. I'm not a cartoon.
Oops, wrong one. There we go. I'll have to make you a spiffy one. I will promise that by the next show. I promise.
All right.
Here live, I'm promising you will have a nice banner. There's my
All right.
banner. If you want to get contact, this is just Zombie CT. Simple, easy. Instagram, Twitter, Zombie CT, as well as I have a YouTube channel, which I'm assuming you're watching this over there, so I don't know why I'm plugging that. But anyway, that is it. That has been it. Is this episode 4?
I think it's like the 4 if you count like the kind of
The pre
weird. Yeah.
So we're gonna officially say it's
I'd say officially 3.
okay.
I would say.
There we go. Officially, the 3rd episode of the Connor and Chris podcast is over. Thank you guys for tuning in. See you not next Friday, but the Friday after that. Unless Horror Nights decides to be funny and drop something, we'll
And throw a wrench
definitely
in our whole schedule.
Yeah, we'll definitely get together at some point if they do an announcement, and we will do a live stream covering that.
Yes.
Yep. That is it. See you, folks.
So long.
What's your Mickey impression? Oh, hi, folks.
Huh? So long.
Gee, Mickey, go buy some merch.
You're not gonna leave with $1 in my theme park.
Hey, Pluto, do you smell money in their pockets? We're not going to get into why Pluto is a dog and Goofy is.
Oh, that's just a whole conspiracy right there.
Yeah, that's something we'll talk about in a future episode if you guys want. All right, we're out.
All right.
Peace out, guys.